Good day everyone. My name is Marilu S. Lejano, your grade 8 science teacher.
Our lesson for today is about Mendelian genetics. So for our most essential learning competency, predict phenotypic expressions of trait following simple pattern of inheritance. So here are our objectives. For objective number 1, identify the following genetic term: dominant and recessive traits, homozygous and heterozygous, phenotype and genotype. Next is follow the step in solving monohybrid and dihybrid cross. And the last objectives, we have solve problems involving monohybrid and dihybrid cross using Punnett square. So let's have first, what is genetics? So when we say genetics, this is the study of heredity and variation. So we all know that heredity is the transferring of traits from parents to offspring. Another term to remember, we have genes. It is a unit of heredity, sections of DNA sequence encoding a single protein. Next, we have the genome. This is the entire set of genes in an organism. Next, we have alleles. So when we say alleles, this is the alternate form of a genes that control a trait. So these alleles are represented by symbol. It can be the uppercase or the big letter and a lowercase or the small letter. Next, we have gene locus. It is a fixed locations on a strand of DNA where a gene or one of its allele is located. Other terms to remember in genetics, we have the homozygous. So when we say homozygous, this is the identical genes, one from each parent for a particular characteristic. So usually homozygous is represented by same letter. It can be an uppercase or they are both capital letter, or a lowercase or both small letter. While heterozygous, it is having two different genes for a particular characteristic. So it is represented by the uppercase and the lowercase letter, meaning the capital and small letter are being combined to determine the heterozygous. Next, we have dominant. So when we say dominant, it is the allele of a gene that masks or suppress the expression of an alternate allele. The traits appear in an heterozygous condition. So for the dominant traits, we are going to use the uppercase letter or a big letter. While for the recessive, it is an allele that is masked by a dominant allele. Does not appear in heterozygous condition, only in homozygous. At this point for the recessive, so we are going to use a lowercase letter or a small letter. Another terms to remember, we have the genotype and phenotype. The difference between the genotype and phenotype is, for genotype, this is the genetic makeup of an organism. So at this point, we are going to use letters to symbolize genotype. So we are pertaining the genetic makeup for genotype. While for the phenotype, this is the physical appearance of an organism. We are dealing with the description. For example, homozygous pure round seed. So we are talking with the appearance of a given traits for the seed. So in genetics, we will also encounter the P. P stands for the parental generation. It can be P1, P2, and so on. We also have the F1 or the first filial generation. So this is the offspring from the genetic cross. Another is F2 or the second filial generation of a genetic cross. So for the beginning of genetics, so we have here the one said to be the father of genetics. So his name is Gregor Johann Mendel. So he is an Australian monk born in what is now Czech Republic in 1822. So he is also a son of peasant farmer, studied theology, and was ordained priest order St. Augustine. He also worked with the Pure Lines of Peace for 8 years. So at this point, Mendel also presented the cross-pollination. According to him, when we say cross-pollination, this is the transfer of pollen from one plant to another. While self-pollination, pollen grains are normally transferred to the stigma of the same flower or to the stigma of another flower in the same plant. So Mendel used 7 traits of garden pea. So he used the height, seed shape, seed color, seed coat, pod shape, pod color, and flower position. For the dominant traits, so he used tall, round, yellow, green, inflated, green, and axial. For the recessive trait, so he used short, wrinkled, green, white, constricted, yellow, and terminal. During his study in the year 1856, Mendel began his plant breeding experiment. And then in the year 1866, he presented the result of his work to a group of scientists, but no one understood his work. That is the reason why during 1884, Mendel died and his work buried with him. But at this point in 1900, this is the time where Mendel's work was rediscovered, understood, and made known. So now let us proceed with the Mendelian principles. So the first Mendelian principle is the principle of unit character. There are two factors that cause certain traits to appear, meaning there are two traits that can be coming from the parents or from a mother and a father. Next is a principle of dominance and recessive. So this is the second principle. So it is a factor may be a dominant or recessive, meaning one allele must another, one allele was dominant over the other in the first generation. The third Mendelian principle is the principle of segregation. When gametes are formed, the pair of hereditary factors become separated so that each sex cell receives only one kind of gene. Only one of the two gene copies present in an organism is distributed to each gamete from egg or sperm cell that it makes and the allocations of the gene copies in random. So this is a kind of principle that happened during meiosis. And the last principle, we have the principle of independent assortment. So a member of one gene pair segregate independently from one gene pair during gamete formation. The allele of a gamete received for one gene does not influence the allele received for another genes. So this is also happened during meiosis. So let's have some example of genotype and phenotype. So for the genotype, we have here the both capital R. So this stands for, or the phenotype is homozygous pure round. So we are using, this is homozygous because we are using both capital R. Another is both small g, a homozygous green seed. It is homozygous because it is both small letter. Next is capital I and small I. It is a heterozygous inflated pod. Why is it heterozygous? Because we use one capital and one small letter. Another example is a capital A and small a, which stands for heterozygous axial flower. Again, it is heterozygous because we use a capital A and a small a. Another example of genotype is the both capital T. It stands, or the phenotype is homozygous pure tall plant. Next, we have both small r, a homozygous wrinkled seed. Again, it is homozygous because we use both small letter r. Next, we have both capital G, or the homozygous green pod. Next is both small t. It is a homozygous short plant. Another example, we have the capital Y and the small y. It is a heterozygous yellow seed. Why it is heterozygous? Because we use a capital Y and a small y. We all know that when we say heterozygous, it is a combination of we have the allele of upper letter and or the big letter and the small letter. For the last example, we have both small a or the homozygous terminal flower. Now let us discuss solving monohybrid cross. Monohybrid cross is a one-factor cross that involves only one trait. It is a genetic cross between parents that differ in the alleles they possess for one particular genes. For monohybrid cross, we are going to use only one traits in crossing. So Punnett square, it was discovered by Reginald Crandall Punnett in the year 1900. It is a handy tool used to predict result in genetic crosses. So this is the one that we're going to use in solving monohybrid cross. Steps in solving monohybrid or dihybrid cross using Punnett square. The first one, we have to prepare a key to the traits. The second, write the genotype of each parent. Next, determine the possible gamete from each parent. The fourth one is construct a Punnett square. Next, determine the genotypic ratio and the phenotypic ratio of the offspring. And the last step is answer the questions asked in the problem.
So let's have sample problem for monohybrid cross. In garden peas, green pods are dominant to yellow pods. If two heterozygous plants are crossed, what are the possible phenotypes and genotypes of the offspring? So let us follow the step. The first step is prepare a key to the traits. Remember to use the first letter of the dominant traits. So our key trait is G for green, capital G, and small g for yellow pods. Write the genotype of each parent. So our parental generation or the P1 for the second step is we have the capital and the small g will be crossed to another capital and small g. So this is the heterozygous green pods and will be crossed to heterozygous green pods. Moving on with the third step, determine the possible gametes for each parent. So you have to write the gametes that we are going to use for the crossing. So our gametes is for the heterozygous green pods, we have capital G and small g to be crossed to another heterozygous green pods, which is capital G and small g. The fourth step, we have construct a Punnett square. So remember that the total number of possible gametes will be the number of boxes in the Punnett square. So we have to draw or construct a Punnett square. So for this Punnett square, you have to write the gametes. So these gametes are, you're going to write it on the upper part. And another gametes, write it on the side. Next step is you have to combine the gametes coming from the parent. For example, this gamete, the capital G will be combined to capital G, so write it inside the box. Same with this, small g and capital G, write it inside the box. Another is the capital G and the small g, combine this, and the last one we have both small g. So we have 4 possible offspring because we produces 4 boxes. The fifth step is determine the genotypic ratio and the phenotypic ratio of the offspring. Still remember, when we say genotypic or the genotype, we are pertaining with the gene traits of the organism. While for the phenotype, we are pertaining with the description or characteristic of the given traits. So now, let's have the genotypic ratio. For the genotypic ratio, so we are going to count the number of offspring. For the first offspring, we only have one both capital G. we have how many both small and capital and small g? We have 2. Another offspring we have both small g, we only have 1. So now let us get the genotypic ratio. So first is get the percentage. For the both capital G, we got 25%. For capital G and small g, we have 50%. For both small g, we have 25%. For the phenotypic ratio, so this one pertains to green pads. This one is also pertaining to green pads. Meaning to say, how many green pads do we have? We have 3. Well, the last offspring, this is pertaining to the yellow pads. So how many yellow pads do we have? We only have 1. For the green pads, we have 75%, while for the yellow pads, we only have 25%. So the possible genotypes of the offspring are 25% for this, 50% for this heterozygous green pad, and 25% for the homozygous yellow pad. While for the phenotypic ratio, for the green pad, we have 75%, and for the yellow pad, we only have 25%. So that is an example of a monohybrid cross.
So now let us define dihybrid cross. It is a cross between two parents that differ in two traits, meaning to say we are going to use two traits in crossing.
So we're done with the sample problem for monohybrid cross. Now let's move on for dihybrid cross. In summer squash, white fruit color is dominant over yellow fruit color. And this shaped fruit is dominant over spear-shaped fruit. If a squash plant through breeding for white, this shaped fruit is crossed with a plant through breeding for yellow, spear-shaped fruit, what will be the phenotypic and genotypic ratio for A, the first one generation, and B, the F2 generation? So let us solve the problem for dihybrid cross. So the first step is prepare a key to the traits. So we have capital W for white, small w for yellow. Another is capital D for this shape, and small d for spear shape. So the second step is write the genotype of each parent. So our genotypes, we have the homozygous, white, this shape, cross with the homozygous, yellow spear-shaped fruit. So let's move on with the third step, which is determine the possible gamete from each parent. So we have here the homozygous, white, this shape fruit, cross to the homozygous, yellow spear-shaped fruit. So we have here the capital D, and this capital W, small capital D. While for this, we have the small W and small d. So we already determined the possible gametes from each parent. So to determine the number of boxes to be used in step number 4, so we have to multiply the number of gametes. For example, this we have one gamete, multiply with one gamete from another parent, so that is equivalent to 1. Meaning to say we are going to use only one box for step number 4. The first gamete, you're going to write it on the upper part, while the other one is on this side. And then cross it, so we come up with this offspring. So we got 100% heterozygous W and heterozygous D, and that will be our genotype. for our phenotype, we got also 100% heterozygous. We got heterozygous white disc shaped root. And that will be our first filial generation. Now let us discuss the second filial generation. So the first step is prepare the key traits. So we have W, capital W for white, small w for yellow, capital D for this shape, and small d for sphere shape. Now let's have the second step, write the genotype of each parent. So we have the heterozygous white disc shape cross with the heterozygous white disc shape. The third step is determine the possible gamete from each parent. So we have here from the mother. So we are going to have 4 gametes. For the father, we have also 4 gametes. Now, to proceed with the fourth step, which is construct a Punnett square. So to determine the number of boxes, we are going to multiply 4 gametes coming from the mother and another 4 gametes coming from the father. So that is equivalent to 16. So meaning we are going to use 16 boxes for our Punnett square. In our Punnett square, so on this side, we are going to write the gametes coming from the father. So we have, and on this side naman, we are going to use the gametes coming from the mother. Now let us combine the gametes coming from the father and the mother. So we have here both capital W, right, inside the box, and both capital D. So that will be our first offspring. For the next offspring, so cross both capital W and capital D and small d. Another is, for the third, we have capital W, small w, and we have both capital D. For the fourth offspring, we have capital W, small w, capital D, and small d. So we already have 4 offspring. So now we're done with our Punnett square. So let's move on with the fifth step, wherein you're going to determine the genotypic ratio and phenotypic ratio of the offspring. So now let's have for the genotypic ratio. So we have the homozygous W and D, we only have 1. The second offspring, we have homozygous W and heterozygous D, we have 2. Next, we have heterozygous W and homozygous D, we have 2. Next, we have homozygous W, homozygous D, we only have 1. For this one, we have heterozygous W, heterozygous D, we have 4 offspring. Next, we have this one, the heterozygous W and homozygous D, we only have 2. Next, homozygous W, homozygous D, we have 1. Homozygous W, heterozygous D, we have 2 offspring. And the last one, the homozygous W, homozygous D, we only have 1 offspring. So that will be our genotypic ratio. In writing genotypic ratio, so you have to write first the highest number. For the phenotype, so let's have the characteristic of each offspring. For offspring 1, we have homozygous W would be white color, homozygous D would be this shape. Next offspring, we have homozygous W will be white color and heterozygous D will be this shape. So this shape is dominant and it must over the recessive. The third one, we have heterozygous W will result to white color and it is dominant over the yellow color. And we have homozygous D would be this shape. Next, we have the heterozygous W will result to white color and the heterozygous D will result to this shape. Remember, in writing phenotypic ratio, always write first the highest number. That's all for today. I hope you learned a lot from this video. Happy learning!